Emily, hello Emily. She has a question for our Q&A. Sorry, kind of long. You're not sorry. All right, our 13.
Didn't you miss this?
The abuse. Did you guys miss the abuse? Our 13-week-old Bernadoodle, age and breed. Thank you, Emily. Jumps up and bites holes in my pants. Bernadoodle's probably already pretty decent size.
13 weeks.
Might
yeah,
even be
about
almost
25, 35 pounds.
Yeah, might be almost as big as Dusty. She's good at sitting. Greets us, guests. When you pet and acknowledge her, then she settles. Behavior mostly happens when we're outside, play, recall, in a field. She loves to run back and forth. Okay, all right, I'm with you. This is good intel right here. What are some tips for in the moment to help with this behavior? Ignoring, standing like a tree, saying ouch, redirecting. They don't work. Thank you for saying half of what we would have said.
At least you cut that. Yeah, that was.
She's like, I already know what you and everybody else says. It doesn't work.
It's like I'm here every week. I know the advice you normally give.
And we keep her on leash. So we've been grabbing that, asking for a sit, giving a treat. Oh, I just encountered this with a puppy too. I remember Sparky's 3-step method, but wondering if there's any other tips that actually
you don't like my method?
That actually work. Yeah, I'll help you. It's all right. I'll help you. Especially when you're outside and we don't have a crate available. Pff, of course not. All right. I also read about a tap to the jaw, but I'm hesitant to do something more physical and dominant. Yeah, let's not do that. Don't get me wrong. You know, if I give a puppy a treat and they're really going for my fingers, I might do a little nose tap. That might settle them briefly, but it shouldn't be like a lot of people will do that in agility and stuff because the dogs get out of control. But it shouldn't be like your regular go-to. It should be just kind of like an instinct to maybe settle them a little bit. It won't necessarily make them think better to not do it next time. So here's what I would say, and then Sparky can fill in the gaps. I'm
already ready to defend my 3-step process.
You do that out in a park on a long line and all that. So first off, I'll say, and I don't want to just say, well, there's nothing you can do, it's all you. But I do want to go over some things you're doing first. And then I'll absolutely give you some things to address it very directly. Dynamic. So first I would say is that, yeah, that's really common. If you're giving your a 13-week-old puppy on a long leash, I'm assuming it's like a long line at a park, I don't think I would do that with a 13-week-old puppy. Maybe in a yard where there's less stimulus. But let's say you don't have a yard. And you're going to the park because we would like you to get your puppy out. You need shorter distance. So if you're dealing with 15 feet and 15 feet is too much, it's causing tons of zoomies, cut that down to like 6-7 feet. You need to be more controlled in how much space your puppy has to get amped up. To kind of give you an example, I just worked with a Dachshund puppy, 14-week-old, like solid, really mentally solid, dominant puppy, spoiled rotten, all the good stuff.
You brought us the biter?
Oh, great, the biter. Give me the corgi. Give me the corgi. So whenever you're working on this, keep closer with a food lure. So that way you're tightening everything up and watch your tone of voice. Oh, what a good puppy. What a good puppy. Oh, no, don't do that. No, stop. Don't do that. I hope that's not what you're doing. Be very clear. Be like, hey, knock it off. Oh, good puppy, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. But just be really clear with your tone and what you're trying to communicate. You want to make sure that at a park setting, you're not like, puppy, come, yay, because you think that being excited will get that connection. Be more firm, controlled with your voice and your movements and your body language. It's treat motivated.
You get the hand in front, she's going to bite it.
And so keep that in mind. Let's just make sure you're tightening up your body language, your energy, your tone. Now, let's say it doesn't really matter. This puppy, even if you changed everything perfectly, this puppy's still going to do it because he's done it before. What was that? Because he's done it before. So what I want you to do is, instead of saying, when this happens, instead of saying sit for food right away, and maybe you're not, but just to be clear, Dusty, come. Dusty, come here. Hup. Okay, on the table, there we go. So let's say your puppy jumps up or is biting your ankles or whatever. Stand up. do that pressure that we talked about and just kind of hold the puppy with a little bit of pressure on the harness or whatever it is you're using. Hold it an extra second. When the puppy settles, then relax. If the puppy gets up right away, is not fully relaxed. What I'm saying is wait a few seconds of that pressure before you add your sit and food. You need to be so clean about this that, let's say you do your pressure, and while you're doing pressure and freezing your feet, you start to reach for your pouch. That's a big no, because then you get kind of this again, like waiting for, oh, if I sit, I get food. Make that puppy, even though it's 13 weeks old, we're dealing with a large breed puppy here, guys. I want you to just freeze for an extra second on a little bit of light pressure, nothing major, just enough to where, you can't get to your feet. And pause for a second. Sit. Good. Or just good. Maybe you can't even get a sit because they're so amped up.
You get this one. I'm trying to eat my mic.
Then reach in your pocket for that food. So all these things really matter when you're trying to calm down a puppy. And finally, go get a pet corrector that squirts air. And what do you got?
Body block on top of the leash pressure. Firm step in.
But you need a hold of the leash at the park to do that, because body blocks will cause zoomies out and away from you.
So right when you lift up that leash, you can lift up leash and do a firm body block. Usually just doing a quick step in kind of bumps them out. I try to think of it as taking their space just like they're trying to take yours. Dogs jump and bite on you to get you to back off. If you step in and then back off, they're still going to own that space. But when you step in and take the area that they're in, you're showing them to back off, and then it helps you get that settle mentality.
But they're not going to believe you, and that's okay, because they're not used to it. So that's where the leash comes in as well. Which reminds me, this is why we make such a good team. Do not expect this to work if you have not done place work in your home. Go to your bed, go to your spot, something like that, and worked on, say that's going really good, place, good food, all that jazz. Did you like Sparky or something? And then to bite you, yeah. It's a corgi, he's supposed to. And then your puppy has stepped off and you've worked on no, step in, and the puppy learns to sit back on place and get a treat for going backwards. All that muscle memory, we want our dogs to be sensitive to spatial pressure, and genetically they are. But then we get a cute little corgi and we hold them and we love them, and spatial pressure sensitivity goes out the window. So we like to use place to reteach them that. And then so when you're at the park and they don't totally believe you and they're really wild and they're doing drive-by ankle bites like this little dachshund I was working with, you just have to go and stand up and
deep
pressure
breath is
and move
important.
it. Yeah.
It is. 95% of what you do inside affects 125% of what you do outside.
Yep.
So practicing place inside, even doing your long leash recall up and down your living room, maybe even into your hall.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to help you as well, because
You need
have
to
a
do
much
that.
calmer dog inside.
Yes.
So don't go outside and assume that you're going to be able to get everything you do right away inside. It's a process to build up. And
But you better practice it.
take that place with you outside.
Oh,
I have a
yeah.
place caught in the back of my car. If I ever have an unruly pup outside for any of my private lessons, the minute I do get that, pop out a place, put it on the ground, teach them how to recall, not to me into a sit, but recall to place. Recall is come as recall. Recall back to place, and that's for the sit. Mark would say it. He would tell me.
Yes, recall is come is recall. Every dog in a city or a busy suburban neighborhood under the age of 5 months old, you should be taking a mat or have a legit cot in your car to practice with. Even if, like, say your puppy's not fully vaccinated and can't be on public grass, no big deal. Drive to a clean park area and stick to a piece of concrete, and for 10 minutes do place, let's go, 2 steps, place, let's go, 2 steps, and get your puppy out working in that environment. Sorry, I know that wasn't directed at you.
Check out Rough Wear Sleeping Pad. It's a spectacular pad and it's waterproof. So even if you have a wet grass, it gives them a spot to anchor that they're comfortable laying down in. A dog like this one, our small guys, wouldn't want to lay on wet grass. Yeah. Bigger dogs are usually not as big of a deal, but kind of gives them a spot to anchor without you having to take this big, huge thing. Folds up small.
I'm dealing with a 1-year-old cattle dog that goes nuts when he gets in grass.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
just smells.
he goes
unlocks him.
berserk. So we work him mostly on the concrete, and then we do a little bit of grass long line, and then back on the concrete, because that way we build up some positive associations with the obedience, then a little challenge in the grass, then back on the concrete. That's something too.
One point I want to make is stay away from basketball courts, tennis courts, any court that's meant for like thick-soled shoes. It has grit on the court. It will tear up your pads or your puppy's feet. Just to give you an idea.
Okay, all right, we gotta move on. I hope that helps, Emily. Please keep us posted. If our advice doesn't just let us know. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, thank you. I thought that was clear. Yeah.
Yeah, very clean cut.
All right. It's either Tahara or it's Tara.
By the way, this puppy hasn't bitten me once. You said he was gonna
It
bite
bit
me.
me 3 times when he was sitting on my lap. It's because I have sweet hands, you don't.
All right. Tara, 4-month-old Goldendoodle, pulling on walks, has a harness with a front clip, but still pulls. Have tried the tree tip, stopping and standing still. Okay.
Oh, I was
and
like,
she will
ooh,
now
what's
stop
the tree
and-
tip?
Yeah, it's like, am I learning?
We know what it is. Okay.
But she will not now stop and sit. Once they start moving, she will jolt forward and continue to pull, also easily distracted by other things on the walk, and treats will not entice her.
So I'm going to start with the treats will not entice her. It sounds like you're at threshold, and by threshold it means that you've already kind of entered that no-go zone of which you don't have any focus. You have a front lead harness, probably an easy walk, the most common one, which means that you do have some leverage over the shoulders, but leverage doesn't come from walking with the dog pulling. It comes from stopping and moving backwards until they look at you.
Counteracting movement.
We call it
Well, the leash
Give
is
me.
the leash pulling is opposition reflex,
That.
and that's what comes really natural to dogs and people.
Mm-hmm.
If Sparky's in a fight and I come up and I try to hold him back, he's going to try to push through me.
Let me at him.
Yeah, it's all that male testosterone. So anyway, opposition reflex is a really natural animal thing. And so we want to try to counteract that as much as we can. And stopping and sitting is a good technique for softer dogs and dogs that are easier or that have calmed down throughout the walk. But you can't even get to that point if you don't do your let's go turns.
You got to basically show them that every time they pull, we're going to do something about it. The stop and sit is good, but it's basically like putting up a dam. Eventually the water goes over, the dam opens, and floodgate gets released. You have to show them that every time they pull, you're going to move in the opposite direction. And even if I do get a dog to turn and they're very stubborn, they're constantly pulling back to the other side, I'll kind of just wait them out. Gradually increase pressure, not to the point to where they're dragging on the ground, but just enough to where they feel this little pull. And there's a moment where you feel a little bit of give. That's when you pull out your food, show them the treat. But also what I would try to think about is, am I always in a situation where it's not going from no pull to big pull? It's usually a gradual increase on the pull. So if I see my dog 300 feet away, my dog sees him and is like, all right, I'm thinking about pulling. That's when I look for the look, the hyper focus, and that's when I start doing the turns. I turn the opposite way, my dog follows, I put a little bit of pressure on that easy walk, turns the shoulders, head follows, good treat, and then move in the opposite direction. Do that back and forth. You're building up your threshold, and so you can walk right next to that dog, and they look to you for the food instead of looking to the dog for the pull.
I've got more.
Please add.
Okay, so stop walking. I want you to spend 3 to 7 days, 5 to 7 days, hand feeding your dog 75% of their food. Even if you're in a hurry and all you do in the house is go ahead and put the harness on the dog, and even if all you do is a little bit of pressure, move back because the puppy's right there staring at you. Oh, you got mad about that? Okay.
Get ready to get bit.
Yeah, I think it's getting there. He already grabbed my mic. Sorry, guys, if you get... Oh, my mic is... Oh, thank God. Oh, I thought you like ate my mic.
We're just like, we're
I'm
getting
okay.
sued.
I'm okay. Anyway, a little bit of pressure, move back, handful of kibble, or whatever it is you feed. If you feed
Building
raw
a food
food,
drive.
wet food, go get some gloves and hand feed that food. That's how important it is. And then go get, if you do feed like wet food or something, go get real meat treats or Ziwis. It's like a jerky, really healthy jerky that you can do this kind of work on. It's dog food, so.
The real meat tends to be a little bit higher value than Ziwis.
Yeah.
I've seen dogs ignore Ziwis, but never the real meat.
Yeah. But
Get
anyway.
venison, not beef. Venison.
Stop. Just don't. Get what you
It's
want.
soft.
Get what you want. Oh, that's true. That is true.
You don't have to break it up.
Anyway, do this inside. Do your turns inside. If you live in an apartment, do it inside. Do it in the hallway. Do it in the foyer. Do it in front of your apartment building or in front of your house and the 2 neighboring homes. Get the muscle memory of turns and feeding your dog for everything. 5 to 7 days of that. Then try to go further than just your block, okay? It'll make, hopefully, a huge difference in how your dog is looking at you. And then you can do all the stuff Sparky said.
She's giving value to your food. It's something I should have mentioned.
You should have. You really should have.
This is why I don't give her it. I just can't give it to her. It's like, oh, just a twist. You're giving value to your food, so then when I mentioned when you're outside and your threshold, sometimes your threshold is higher just because you've given more value to the food. Instead of being 300 feet away, you could be 100 feet away, and your dog still looks to you for that little morsel that you've added value to because of all the work you do inside. Yeah. Remember, 95% of what you do inside affects everything that you do outside.
Oh my gosh.
Including food drive.
Look how cute. Like, this is why everybody gets a corgi. Do you know what these things are bred for? To go in packs and bite the ankles of cattle. And they get kicked, and like, this is where the breeding comes from.
Ricky loved that.
This is why these little guys, they're so tenacious, and we get so many like that are just feisty. Oh, you're so cute.
She actually looks like she's warming up too.
I love this. I love herding dogs, guys. It's like, oh, I love them. I'm gonna retire and have all the herding dog breeds, like 5 of each. All right, will you put
I'm never coming to your house.
Will you put the little wiggly thing away? He's about had it. She's so cute. But the ears, the bunny ears, and then there's the whole corgi butt thing, which keeps us in business because
the corgi butt floats if you put it in water. It's got an air bubble in there.
Floats.
Yeah,
but
it's super cool.
But that's why we stay in business, because all these people who see the cute Instagram corgis get them, and they're biting and reactive and can't play nice with others.
Pays for our cars. All right, Diego, welcome back, sir. How to brush Goldendoodle. She won't let us no matter what I do. I do little sections at a time, bought special brushes and combs. I don't want to shave her. That's challenging. We don't have age, so I don't know how long you've been trying to do it and being, hey Dusty, hey bud, okay. I don't know how long you've been getting fought for on it, but I would say that it's never too late to start counter conditioning. I like the fact you're already doing short sections, small sections, and what I do is I try to get a couple brushes in, have a little handful of food, and give food. Is that why you put them here so I could show you?
Obviously.
I love it. All right, so basically I have head about right here, brush, handful of food, treat. Or have a pouch over here and handful of food, and while he's eating, does he eat my handful of food? And while he's eating my handful of food, I'm brushing a couple sections. He likes mom more than me, obviously. Yeah. Brushing a couple sections, stopping, letting him build up a little bit more comfort, let him work through it.
Same time,
and then giving a little bit more food.
Let him munch on the food is what he's saying at the same time that you brush.
But eventually you want to counter condition away from that as well.
Well, of course, but if he can't even brush, you want to start with just food first, brush while they're getting it out of your hands. I would say also, you may not be doing this, but this is for anybody with a poodle mix, a Maltese, Yorkie, these really thin-haired breeds. What happens is we get these combs and brushes that we're supposed to have for this type of fur, and we're going all the way to the skin to brush the puppy.
It feels
or
like
the
little
dog.
needles touching.
It is not
overstimulates.
comfortable. Yeah. So you actually need to, if you want to really see what, really make sure you're not doing that, put your hand here on the fur and brush out the fur. That way, if you've got like a little bit of I don't want to say a knot, just cut those out. But if you've got a little bit of a tangle, kind of just put that there so you're holding it in place and you're not touching the skin. That's so important. As you brush along your dog, don't touch the skin. I have the sweetest German Shepherd in the world, and when I use the Furminator on her, she doesn't love it, and she licks me. That's how I know she's uncomfortable, because that's how sweet she is. She licks me when she's uncomfortable. So I'm like, oh yeah, even though she's got thick fur, I've got to hold it up a little bit so it's not all the way down on her skin. So I'm brushing the fur, I'm not making contact with the skin. That's so important for these combs, these slicker brushes, these Furminators, these more intense feeling stuff. Man, I'm just really on my words today. You know what I mean. They know what I mean. Do you have anything else?
I like the brushes that actually are gloves. One of my grooming buddies.
For a Goldendoodle?
For any dog to build. Oh, thank you. To build up comfort around just being touched with that little bristly feel.
Oh, that's
he
a
says
good
for
idea.
all of his dogs that come in for their first grooming, most good groomers won't cut and do like huge like cuts and stuff on dogs that are really young because it's very traumatic for them. It's a lot of a lot of touching, a lot of stress. But what are you doing? What are you pointing to?
Those are from last week.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. This is
thought we had more questions.
we're good,
I
we're
was-
good.
I was
we have one
so
more. We have
scared.
one more question
Okay.
after this. Well, he said that they call it the love glove, but basically you put it on your hand and you brush down, and every time you pet them, and kind of do like a massage, soothing feel. It still has little bristles that massage the fur, kind of cuts through it.
Desensitize them.
That
of
was
it.
the word I was
Yeah.
going for. Thank you. I was going to
It
get there.
really
eventually.
took you a
Let me
long time.
I was hoping under 5 minutes I was eventually going to get to it, but I appreciate you for that.
Diego says thank you.
So, final one, Wilson, and yeah. What's the best?
That's what that feels
You
like.
said them before. I think they're not-
Lily
Lilikoi. There we go.
Yes.
Lilikoi. I was just
We
seeing
got it, guys. We
Lily
did it.
and Koi. Okay. What's the best solution for stopping puppy play? Redirection, place crate, wait, what do I do? Puppy
I believe
play.
This was play with another puppy.
It
Play
sounds
with
like the
another
play is
puppy.
probably just
Okay.
getting a little too high in stimulation. How do we break it apart?
You want to go?
Body blocker. I just like to step in. I probably deal with this. I feel like I deal with it maybe even more than you.
Here's the thing though, people who don't practice regular spatial pressure work,
They don't really understand what
their
we're saying.
puppy is going to completely ignore them and they don't understand what you're saying.
When I have puppies playing, I always like to be present in the play. So a lot of times when we go to our friend's house, we have our puppies playing, 2 or 3 dogs, maybe even 4 if you're lucky and you have enough friends doing it, and everyone's kind of on the side with a beer or a glass of wine. That's not how puppy play. Yeah, I live in the South Bay, guys. This is our pastime. So most of the time,
Sure.
everyone's on the sideline. I don't like to do that. Usually there should be constant interruption between, and I'm not talking like you're pulling dogs apart, but you're just walking through. You're showing that your presence is a part of the puppy play. And a lot of dog parks, everyone's on the side, all the dogs playing in the middle. It's important to show your dog that you still exist and
You're
there's
the
still
referee.
some form
You're the
of structure
You're the referee.
during play. It's almost like you're the referee.
I was wondering why you were rolling over what I was saying. Usually you stop nicely when I interrupt you.
Make yourself present. Make yourself something where if you do see dogs kind of pulling at ears, there's more of one dog going at the other and they're kind of backing up consistently, then that's a time where I step in between, move towards the more pushy dog, back them off a little bit, find a moment to then step back and let them re-engage. You don't want to be something that just stifles your dog. You want to basically show them that you're bringing down one level and helping build them up in other ways.
Outside of the play aspect of it. Okay, so here's something nobody wants to hear because it stinks.
Ooh, girl, get it.
You have to be careful who you let your puppies associate with.
Very
Okay?
true. No,
so,
it's true.
So if you have one friend and you guys both happen to have dogs and you already have a puppy that's maybe a bit pushy, just as a pushier dog or a nervous dog that likes to become pushy, and your friend's dog is a smaller breed dog, a timid dog, lets your dog walk all over them, that's not a good play dynamic.
They won't learn to be more pushy. They'll learn how to bite your dog when they get afraid enough.
Yeah. Well, I was, if you have the pushy dog, you're just teaching your dog to push around other dogs constantly. And if you have the submissive, sweet dog, then that puppy learns that you don't advocate for them and other dogs just run roughshod all over them. And sometimes they're okay with it, sometimes they're not. But then that puppy is going to get to be an adolescent dog and have serious repercussions from those beginning experiences, especially if it's just with one puppy. There's, I even recently saw another trainer talking about this, and it's such a tough topic, which is don't let puppies play that much with just other puppies unless
5 or
it's
6 minutes.
unless it's highly regulated by people like us who don't let anything get out of control. Because what happens is puppies, just like two kids out wrestling, they just keep one-upping each other, and then eventually someone gets frustrated or they just get more and more bitey because they're getting crazy. And that's normal. There's nothing wrong with your puppy, even if your puppy's picking on the other dog. They're just feeding off of energy. So I know this is so hard, but finding some other types of dogs, other temperaments, older dogs that are good with puppies can be really, really useful. I know that's not the easiest thing to find. At the end of the day, please keep in mind that it's okay if your puppy doesn't even play that much with other dogs. It's about you.
What if the puppy lives at home with them?
Oh Lord.
It's
What do you
just
mean?
2 dogs. I think they have 2 dogs at the same
Two dogs. That's a whole.
Well, that's
nother,
why they said
a whole nother worm.
To
can of
to
worms.
stop puppy play, redirection, question mark, place, question mark,
No.
wait, question mark.
So you have to slow them down first. In my opinion, you should work with a trainer or work with someone to learn how to first slow the puppies down and then redirect them. If you can't do that as a owner, or you don't really like that style of training, then you're always going to be redirecting. Puppies get out of control, pick up, put in their respective crates so they can cool off. But in our personal opinion, I think I can speak for Sparky on this, we would like you to be somewhat of a presence of, hey, knock it slow, knock it off. Let them breathe for a second, then give them their break. There's a huge difference in just grabbing an excited dog and redirecting them to something versus slowing them down a bit first as the human in control of the moment and then redirecting them to something. Does that
Check
make
out our
sense?
Instagram. Go on our stories. Every single day we have at least 30 dogs playing in all kinds of different groups, small groups, bigger groups, 1 or 2 dogs at a time. But one thing you will always see is the presence of at least 2 trainers walking through that group. Obviously, I'm not saying that you guys have to hire
Moving
trainers,
constantly.
but we are always moving to almost like to stir up the group a little bit. So it's never 2 dogs playing intensely and building up that frustration, one-upping each other like Bethany mentioned. We're always breaking the groups up and helping redirect them to other dogs to kind of spread the love to all the different play groups. Easiest way to do it. And I do want to give you 1 or 2 nuggets because I know we have about a minute left, but I like to create one dog and train the other while the other dog is being created. I think that's really important that if you do have multiple dogs in a household and they do play all the time, if you have like puppy, you want to prevent littermate syndrome, which is that constant need to be together. One of the easiest ways to slow a dog down is to train them individually and then get to the level where you can have 2 people. And if it's only one of you, try to train them side by side. 1 dog sits, 1 dog downs, 1 dog comes, 1 dog sits.
They need individual attention. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, 6 days a week, it will make a huge difference in your association, your relationship with your dogs.
We have 2 dogs that are in our program right now. I won't say names, but they were dealing with a lot of this in the beginning. Their owners are like, yeah, we play for 2 hours crazy and it always ends up in a fight. I'm like, well, how often do you break the play up? What do you mean? Well, they're just playing for 2 hours straight. Yeah, give them 5-10 minutes at a time. Step in between, slow them down. One of them goes away, do 5-10 minutes of training, let them nap for an hour, bring them out, rinse and repeat as much as you can.
Because you said that, I have to say this.
Get it.
This old school advice of let the dogs work it out.
Oh, stop.
It makes me livid every time because there's so much nuance. If I was going to do that, if I pull out a puppy and have my adult German Shepherd, who I know really well and trust to make good decisions, I can let her help me train dogs. But it is very limited, and I don't overdo it. Otherwise, she feels a ton of pressure to be in charge, and it's such a nuanced dog.
Unfair to her either.
It can be. It's definitely unfair to him because he doesn't tolerate it a lot. But it's such an unfair way of looking at it. It's very nuanced. It's very deeply rooted in dog psychology. So if you don't know exactly what you're looking at in front of you, then you're in trouble. I'm not saying pack dynamics shouldn't have their own boundaries, but 2 puppies or 2 dogs under 2 years old, absolutely not. And then not taking your puppy to a friend's house who has an adult dog and letting their adult dog set boundaries for your puppy where there's just not enough context there. So that old school thing of let the dogs work it out, most of the time the work it out ends up in
1 dog being
issues. Yeah, it ends up in issues, short term, long term. So just keep that in mind in case, because there's a lot of that floating around.
Let it work it out means that eventually you have to hire us to come to your house and fix it.
Maybe that's why they still say that all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah.
Bring in the business.
Bring in the business.
All right, guys, and that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Please
thank
submit
you so
those
much.
questions.
Online school.
Online. Oh yeah, we have an online school. We do this for a living, and you could sign up on.
puppyacademy.com online section.
There you go, online section, and we have tons of video how-tos and instruction. We even have a live one-on-one Q&A if you can tolerate us more to ask
It differs
us.
a little bit from this one,
Yeah.
only in the fact that we will actually bring out a dog and we do demonstrations.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with anything in our school,
will actually demonstrate and help you work through items
It's
that you're
very,
struggling with.
very specific. So anyway, guys, check us out.
See you
See
guys
you next week.